Whoops. Before we hit the road, a huge thank you to Bikeshaw for sponsoring this video. With over 30 years of experience, Bikeshaw recognises the uniqueness of every rider. Whether your ride is rugged or decked out in chrome, they'll find a policy just for you. From high-performance sports bikes to stunning naked roadsters, they've got you covered. And if one bike isn't enough, check out their multi-bike policies. At Bikeshaw, it's all about you. So be sure to click the link in the description for a personalised quote today.
So as you can guess, this is my new bike, the 2025 Honda CB1000 Hornet, and I bought it without test riding it. In the future videos I'm going to do a lot of changes to this bike, so don't forget to click that subscribe button if you want to see me tinker with this bike and do some additions and some modifications. It's going to be fun. Okay, so yes, here is my 2025 Honda CB1000 Hornet in iridium grey, which I think it looks really lovely. The 750 Hornet, I borrowed one which came in this colour. It's just got this beautiful metallic sheen, which really sold me. Yeah, I think it looks absolutely epic. And yeah, this bike was on my radar, obviously. Everyone wanted the SP version. As I said, I will cover off why I didn't buy the SP version in a separate video, because that is quite an interesting topic. But here she is. So we have a 2017 Fireblade derived engine. It is a little bit different. They've got different inlet valves and other changes internally, different ratio gears from second to top gear, just to give you a bit more oomph low down. 150 horsepower, 104 newton meters of torque, get it right this time. It's got way more mid-range than I would have thought, and that's lucky because I bought it without test riding it. I actually did that test ride video once I'd already purchased the bike, which is a massive risk, to be honest, but it paid off for once. Right, what else have we got? We've got 41mm Showa big piston separate function forks in this lovely silver. The SP, they're kind of like this gold colour. It's fully adjustable, so you've got your clickers on the top there, one on that side, and I believe that's preload on that side. Yeah, tension and compression. We've got Nissin radial brakes and a Nissin radial master cylinder as well. These look quite small. They're floating calipers, but the performance out of those is quite shocking actually. It's really, really good, and shocking in a good way. 310mm discs, Dunlop road sport tyres. I might get some different tyres because they're all right. I'm not going to be able to push it in January weather. Well, it's actually February today, but yeah, I'm not going to be able to push it. However, you know, OE Japanese tyres are generally not great, so we'll see. We've got this lovely dual LED headlight setup with DRLs at the top, so it's actually, if you can see there, it's got two projector lights in there and the DRL at the top. And of course, you know, it goes without saying where this inspiration came from, the Street Fighter Ducati, right? Let's go this side. I don't film much of this side of the bike, but this doesn't have a quick shifter, unfortunately, because the base spec one doesn't have it as standard, so I'm going to have to order that separately. Kind of forgot about that actually. But yeah, it's got the lovely sharp pointy back end. As I said in my first ride video, this light it's either identical or very, very similar to the current 750 Hornet and the 500 bikes as well. This light is on all the bikes, and I guess that's just how they save some money, as well as this massive number plate hanger. I think this is on the 650s. And talking of massive, look at this massive blooming wanger. That is huge. And I guess they do that because they know people are going to change it almost immediately, right? So yeah, it doesn't really matter. That's going to come off anyway. Quite a big weld line down there. Again, I don't think they're that fussed. And there's your rear Nissin brake. And at the rear, we've got a 180 55 section tyre. They didn't opt for a 190, and I'm glad because it actually helps with the agility and the turning. A one-piece tubular spine frame. This is a bespoke frame. It's not, you know, something from another bike. It's not from the old CB1000 because that feels very different to ride. That Neo Sports Cafe jobby. 17-litre tank. So don't know what the fuel range is. I'm guessing like anywhere from 120 to 140, 50 miles, something like that, depending on how you ride, of course. Seat. I mean, the pillion seat. They're not going to love you if you put them on the back of that. That looks quite uncomfortable. Rider seat isn't too bad. A little bit firm, but it's a lot better than the one that was on my CB650R, that's for sure. So they have learnt some lessons there. I will look at getting a aftermarket seat because I do want to ride this bike a lot. Let's just say that. I want to do touring on it. I want to basically do what I didn't do with my Tracer 9. I've still got my Tracer 9 GT, if you're wondering. It's sat in the garage. It's done 2,000 miles in 2 years. I bought that to go touring, and I've never been touring on it. So, and I think I just love naked bikes. I think I'm probably more likely to do a tour on this. To be honest with you, I just love naked bikes. I don't know what it is. I seem to like having knee pain. I think that's what it is. It got the running lights at the LED indicators, which I'm not a massive fan of. Honda say it's a safety feature, but if you think about it, if you're approaching a junction and a car briefly looks at you, they might think you're indicating. So, yeah, don't know. Mixed thoughts on that one. Let's have a look at the dash quickly. Yep. Excuse me for my stiffles, I've got a bit of a cold. Right, so focus, there's the dash. So we've got 3 main riding modes. We're in standard at the moment. We've got sport, got rain, and we've got a couple of user modes as well. So you've got 3 levels of power, 3 levels of engine braking, and 3 levels of traction. It has wheelie control built into the traction control. It's not separate. And if you turn off traction, then reset the bike, so turn it off and on again, traction will be back on. It's slightly annoying, but you know what? It's not the end of the world. Switch gear, very basic. You know, it's not sexy, but it does the job, right? Obviously, it's my bike, so I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's absolutely spaffing gorgeous. So I'm going to throw on my gear and we'll go for a little poodle down to Blackbush and have a chat. So yeah, this is just an intro to the bike. There will be lots more videos coming, including some mods videos. I'm going to be putting some bits and pieces on it. Hopefully an exhaust, quick shifter, and other aesthetic bits and bobs. Perhaps some more interesting bits and bobs. Oh, I can smell diesel. That's never a good sign, is it? Oh, so back in the late 90s they had the Hornet 600 and the Hornet 900, and this now complements the 750 to have that larger capacity platform. And I'll be honest, I really wasn't expecting them to bring out a bigger capacity Hornet. I thought the 750 was where it would stop. But yeah, boy am I happy they did. Again, price on this bike is just so crazy, £8,999. It was just too good of a price to pass up. I was looking at getting a naked bike this year, and I was going to be getting the MT-09, but you know, that's a bike that's £1,100 more expensive than this as standard. And the SP version of the MT-09 was about £13,000, which is such a big jump over the Hornet SP of £10,000 asking price. You know, I think it's gonna definitely shift prices down by quite a bit. I reckon they'll have to, like Yamaha and other manufacturers. Suzuki with their GSX 1000S, good bike actually, but desperate need of an update in some areas, such as the clocks, which are very old school. Still a really good bike, you know, 152 horses, that GSX S1000 platform. But yeah, this new Hornet really does kind of set the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of pricing. And it only takes one manufacturer to do it, and then it brings all the other prices down. And sure, there are some compromises that Honda have had to make to get this bike out the door at the price it's at. For example, the frame, it doesn't have a separate subframe at the rear, and some of those welds are really quite unsightly. Now, I'm sure Honda could have done a bit of a better job on that, so those welds are really not very nice to look at. Massive lumps, which they should have just been, you know, ground off. But I guess when you add that time over a multitude of bikes, that's where some of the cost savings are. You know, maybe in the future stuff like that will improve, we'll see. I don't think it will, to be honest. But ultimately what makes this bike so good is how it rides. Now, I've only done 16 miles on this, my very own bike, but already I can tell you that this is an out-and-out rider's motorcycle. I think Chopsy said the same thing. It just is so engaging to ride. It's really agile. They've put the weight bias over the front, so even though you don't feel like you're tipped forward when you're actually riding it, the handling is so front positive that it just fills you with confidence. Even in January, February, with these cold, horrible, damp roads, I feel like I could, you know, take the mickey a bit with this bike, which, you know, that's what normal riders want. I'm not an ex-flipping TT racer. I can't feel flex in the chassis. You know, I'm a normal rider, and this bike is right up my street, and I think it will be right up yours if you like naked inline-fours as well. And inline-fours, that's kind of a dying thing, isn't it? I mean, I know the bigger bikes, there's a lot more of them, like the Z900, the GSX S1000 platform from Suzuki. You've got obviously the shift cam and non-shift cam BMW 1000cc lump, but I think it's a dying thing, which is a shame. But yeah, inline-fours were ubiquitous back in the 90s and 2000s, 90s and noughties, and this is just another little hurrah to that era, I think. And it's absolutely wonderful, and it's got decent suspension. None of it feels budget. Like, the actual components don't feel budget. The brakes feel fantastic. The suspension feels really, really plush and a little bit sporty. Okay, the rear might be a little bit soft, and you know, that's where the SP kind of comes into its own with that Öhlins what is it, TTX 46 shock at the rear. But I'm sure we can do something. We'll fiddle with the settings on this bike anyway to see what changes we can make. But the engine is the same, other than that exhaust valve, which, you know, if you're going to put a different can on it, you're going to lose that anyway. Interesting to see whether or not the changing the can kind of unlocks the extra 5 horsepower. I don't know if it will or not. Obviously a full system would help. It's such a lovely bike to ride. I cannot wait for summer. Summer cannot come quick enough. I did consider an SP, but in reality everyone's going to have that bike, and I don't feel that I need the extra braking. And as good as Stylemas are, it's still got a Nissin master cylinder, I think, so you know, it's going to be limited. And these brakes, honestly, they are flipping amazing, and we could probably even improve them a bit more with some braided hoses and some different pad material, so we'll see. I've got a Range Rover right up my arse because, you know, I'm obviously not going quick enough. So as I said before, don't forget to subscribe so you can see everything that happens with this bike. We've got an exciting few months coming, and you know, perhaps Chopsy and I can do some videos together comparing the SP and this base model. I haven't spoke to him about it. This is all a bit of a last minute video really, but exciting times, and I'm really happy to be back on a Hornet, because I don't know if you have seen my previous videos, but I've owned every generation of Honda Hornet 600. I never owned the bigger capacity bike, the 900s. I had a 750 for a year. I'm finally on the bigger capacity Hornet, the big brother, the beefy Hornet. That'll do for today. If you do go out, obviously ride safely, but have fun, of course, otherwise what's the point? Until next time, you take care and peace.